Hey everyone! So in this occasion, we will be explaining material about access control. So this is us, our group, me as Bagus, Nosa Putraditya, and the serial number also shown in the screen, and also my colleagues, Yogananta and also Raditya. Also in the serial number is on the screen. So let's just get started. There are three contents that we would like to discuss on this occasion. The first one being access control policy analysis. The second one is access control policy implementation, and the third one is the security model analysis. Let's just get to the first section, which will be explained by my colleague. So please.
Access control policy it's a set of rules that determine who can access the data or research in an information game. Sure, who can view, modify, or interact with sensitive data, reducing the risk of unauthorized access, data breach, and cyber threats. So, why we should implement access control policy? Because first one is data integrity. So data integrity, accuracy, consistency, and reliability of data through its life cycle. We are paying proper for useful alter, delete, or correct information, leading to data manipulation, fraud, or operational failure. So the second one is protecting data confidentiality. So confidentiality ensures that sensitive data that only accessible to an unauthorized user. So a lack of access control policy can lead to data leaks and identity theft and corporate espionage, harming individual and businesses. So the last one is improving system security. Access control policy protects system from unauthorized access, cyber threat, and malicious activity by restricting access based on rule, security clearance, or authentication method. Organization can prevent attacker from exploiting vulnerability. So there are third that I already know is discretionary access control or DAC. So definition about this is DAC is a security model where the data owner has full control over granting or revoking access permission to the others. The owner can decide who can read, modify, or execute file, application, or research. So the second one is mandatory access control, MAC. So mandatory access control is a strict security model where access is controlled by the system, not by the individual user. Permissions are assigned based on security level and classification, such as confidential, secret, or top secret, like in the military. So the last one is RBAC, role-based access control. Like in the backend, we already use that on web. It's a security model where access granted by based on user role within an organization. Instead of assigning permission to individual user, administrator define role like admin, manager, user, and the others, and assign permission to this role. User can inherit permission based on their assigned role. That's it. Thank you. Next one is explained by my colleague.
Okay, so now the next section is about access control policy implementation. So in implementing the policy, we need to design and implement the policy aligned with organizational needs. So access control policy should be designed based on the specific needs of the organization, such as the type of data that it holds, the level of security required, and the team structure itself. And then identifying who needs to access the data, the level of access required, for example, like read, write, and edit, and also access restrictions based on roles or responsibilities, which is the role-based access control or RBAC, which is explained earlier. The goal in implementing the policy is to create a system that balances security and operational efficiency. This is important because when you implement the policy, you don't want your operational to be a hold, to be not efficient. So you want it to be as efficient as possible. So that's why you need to understand all of these things to implement the access control policy. The next one is ensuring the policies effectively regulate data access and by prioritizing integrity and confidentiality, which is the CIA triad. The policies must effectively control access to data to prevent misuse or leaks. Data confidentiality must be protected by restricting access only to authorized individuals or teams. And data integrity must be maintained by ensuring only authorized parties can modify or delete the data. So that is the importance of access control policy implementation and some of the things that you need to consider before implementing the policy. And so the next one is about security model analysis, which will be explained by my colleague. So please.
Okay, because in the beginning, my mate Radit already tell you what is DAC, MAC, and RBAC, and here I will discuss more about the implementation of three of them. So for the DAC, mostly implemented on operating systems such as Windows or Unix. For example, in Unix, the access to a file control will be using a permission bits for read, write, and execute. It will allow the user to grant other user to grant access to the other user in a flexible manner. It also the same with Windows. So there is a few pros and cons also in the AC. The first is high flexibility. The owner of the object can freely set access permission for the other user. Second is simple access management. So the AC easy to apply to a smaller system with a few users because the object of owner can directly manage access without needing a change for a structure layer of system. For the cons, the first, vulnerability to untrusted user because the only owner can grant a permission to anyone, which this can lead abuse of right access. And the second limitation in security control. The access management is not as strict as the other model, such as Mac, because it depends on the individual decision of the owner. The next is MAC. So the MAC mostly implemented in a very strict organization like a military, government, or organization that have a very sensitive data. So one of the example I found in the internet of implementation of MAC is Bell Lapulda model. So this model is have a regulation access based on the principle of no read up, and no read down. For the advantages or for the pros of MAC, the first, strict security control. Every access to a data decided by policy set by the system without involving the user decision. The second is centralized access management. Access policies are controlled and managed by the administrator, which can reduce the potential of user error or miss. The next is the cons. The first is limited flexibility. User cannot change their own access right, which can be a problem in a very dynamic or complex organization. The second is more complex management. This MAC require more complex and careful access policy management, which will be require a technical resource and a knowledge. Okay, next is RBAC. Okay, RBAC mostly implemented on a large company or organization that have a clear role structure. For example, a company that use ERP or enterprise resource planning. So user with a human resource role will be have a right will be have access to the employee data, while the other user, for example, like finance role, only can access the financial data. So it's based on the employee role. For the pros, is the first is easy to manage. In a multi-user environment, RBAC will make the access management easier because the access control is based on role, not an individual user. The second is flexibility and scalability. The MAC will allow changes in a role and access as the organization, uh, if there is any changes on the organization. For the cons, the first, risk over privilege. This is very important. So if the roles is not carefully managed, a user can have a overly broad to the access right. And the second is complex role management. In a large organization that have many role in their organization, access control or access right management can be more complex because the large organization if has many role in their organization, right? So the right access management can be very complex. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so that is all from us about access control. Thank you.
Thank you.